Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Skyblock News. I'm your host, Derailious, and with the .20 update, the Glacial Tunnels update, we have gotten a bunch of information about the Foraging update, as we can see on screen now. Without any further ado, though, let's launch right into it. The admins start off by saying the Spotlight Foraging update. First off, this isn't a delay announcement, quite the opposite. We're making steady progress and are quite excited about what's taking shape. We had an internal group testing session, and are planning the second one to be in a couple of weeks, which means that it is in a state in which they can actually test the update and actually have information be gathered, which means it's fairly far along. There's still polishing to be done, however, and improvements to be made, but the core elements are in place, so it's time for a sneak peek at what the Foraging update has in store. And honestly, I gotta say, this looks really cool. Great stuff overall in terms of the admins. It just looks beautiful. It's totally different than anything we've seen in Skyblock beforehand, and I am very excited to see it in game. They state trees are the heart of foraging. The central activity in the foraging islands will naturally be tree cutting, but there were a few mechanics we were looking to improve on compared to the gameplay of the park. Tree gifts. One large problem with the park is that players would rather be alone than share trees with someone else. Trees on the new foraging islands, Galatia, or Galatia, would offer players rewards once fully taken down. Just contributing at least 10% of a tree's cutting will result in a tree gift, encouraging group play. I personally am very excited about this and think it's going to add to the gameplay quite a bit. Sweep and toughness. The Tree Capitator introduced a new mechanic that allows you to sweep 35 logs in a row. We intend to make this mechanic a core part of the item progression. Sweep is a new stat that allows you to cut extra logs. An item with 35 sweep like the Tree Capitator will cut, well, 35 logs. Here we have the Figstone Axe. It gives you mystic damage, which is a new type of damage, regular damage, strength, foraging fortune, and sweep. It also has the ability Super Frenzy, which grants you 1 extra sweep for every 10,000 logs cut in Galatia with a maximum of 20, which I think is pretty cool, meaning that this can go up to, I think, 44 total sweep, which would be better than the Tree Capitator. However, trees on Galatia have increased toughness, meaning 35 sweep won't actually cut 35 logs, and you will need much more to efficiently cut the last few trees in the progression. Moving right along, we have styles. Each tree on Galatia has its own unique cutting style, adding a layer of skill to the process. The first style, that of the fig tree, is quite simple. You first have to cut the branches of the tree, and then the trunk. If you try to cut the trunk first, you will only sweep half of the logs you should have as a penalty. I really like this ability, and I think it's going to add quite a bit to the gameplay of the island. Really cool stuff here. Next up, we have axe throwing. You can't really cut the branches of a tall tree if you can't throw your axe around. Axes with sweep will have an axe throwing ability, allowing them to target logs from a distance. However, once again, throwing your axe will only sweep half of the logs, so only use it when needed. This is also really cool, allowing you to use a little ranged attack. Really interesting stuff here, more interesting than I thought we were originally going to get. Next up, we have the key features of the island, and look at that beautiful looking town. This just looks incredible. Excellent job, admins. Once again, really nice stuff. Next up, we have the Heart of the Forest. As we previously discussed, Hypixel Skyblock reached a stage where we can slow down our never-ending explorations of new mechanics and start reusing mechanics that prove themselves. The Heart of the Mountain skill tree was a success, and we're excited to introduce a similar concept in the Foraging update. I am so happy that they're doing this. Next up, we have the Starland Sisters. Those 3 sisters are similar to Jacob, except their concours don't put you against other players. Instead, it's all about your own performance. I assume they mean contests. Their concours will be always ongoing, giving rewards in every single in-game day. Great stuff here. Next up, we have Mystic Damage. Most monsters on Galatia will have a Mystic Shield, meaning that you simply won't be able to damage them before their shield is down. Only items with Mystic Damage will damage those shields. I'm really happy about this too, once again, making the progression about the items you get on the island, whereas people cannot just come in with a Dark Claymore or a Hyperion and just one-shot everything. Really excited about this. Also, there's new types of berries across all 3 of the islands on Galatia, which is really cool. We're getting 3 islands with the Foraging update. You will find different types of berries that can be collected to craft hunting items, which is pretty cool. I assume they'll get into that in a minute. Next up, we have Pressure. While we never worked on the Abyss Island, we still decided to make a pressure system and introduce it on Galatia. Pressure will simply make your progression, or respiration bubbles rather, go down faster the deeper you dive into the waters. Running out of air while in deep waters will deal massive damage, so make sure you stack up extra respiration and pressure resistance before you adventure yourself in the deeper rooms of the lake. And as you can see, there's a little dragon here. This is so cool, such an expansive concept here. I am incredibly excited. Next up, we have God Temples. Gods used to exist in the world of Hypixel Skyblock, but they were dethroned by an ancient civilization. God Temples can still be found in the world, and reactivating them will allow you to become a worshipper. The very first God Temples will be introduced on Galatia. Those grant global stat buffs to everyone who has unlocked them, and extra buffs to their worshippers. The more worshippers a temple has, the stronger the god becomes. They have to do a blood god one, that's like number 1 on the list, by the way. But this is really interesting, kind of creating a factional system that's not super dependent on like locking you in or out of a certain playstyle. I'm very excited for this. Also, yeah, people are saying the eggs on this dragon picture, maybe there's going to be something related to that, although they could just be, props. Moving down to hunting, I won't dive into this subject on this thread as it should have its own thread, but I can already explain a few important points. Foraging went through multiple design iterations across the months and years, and the game is very different now than it was back when the project started. The mentality was always to make this island as lively as possible, a goal that, in hindsight, was overly ambitious. This vision became a significant bottleneck in the design process. While we still want the island to be lively, our ambition had to be reset multiple times over, and during conversations a few months ago, we found a solution we instantly liked. Hunting will be a new skill and will be available on a ton of creatures across the game, many mobs that already exist. This is insane. Once again, expanding the island further, we're getting 2 skills with the foraging update, or 2 updates to skills, a brand new hunting skill, and forage. Lastly, they have a conclusion here. The foraging update has made a considerable amount of progress in the last few months, and we are getting close to the alpha release. There is no need to sugarcoat it though. This update already took too long, and we were able to learn from our own mistakes. Our mentality when it comes to Hypixel Skyblock updates evolved a lot through the years. This alone could be the subject of a thread. We're eager to hear your thoughts on this new format and what topics you'd like to see discussed in future threads. That's it for today. Thanks for reading. Bravo to the admins. They've made an exceptional update, at least in terms of what they've been able to tell us thus far. I'm really excited to hear what hunting has in store for us. We're getting 3 islands with Galatia. We're getting a lot of new systems that are going to change the game in a significant way, and they are communicating with us, which is what I've wanted since the beginning. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end. Leave your thoughts down below. Look to the future, fellas. I'll see you then.